Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's an entirely new comic book cinematic universe. Hey everyone, I am Joe from Create Context, and today we are talking about Superman, written and directed by James Gunn. James Gunn's Superman is sort of a soft reboot of the DC cinematic universe, a collection of films that was originally overseen by Zack Snyder that was labeled as the DCEU. Now, Gunn is in control of the properties going forward, and he has labeled this new universe the DCU. He has labeled this new universe as the DCU and referred to it as a soft reboot as opposed to a full-out retcon. He's also gone on to state that other DC properties that don't fit into his unified vision for the DCU will be labeled as DC elsewhere. These include projects like Matt Reeves' Batman and Todd Phillips' Joker, though after the disastrous reception of last year's Joker Folie à Deux, I doubt we'll be seeing anything else from that particular series. It's all a little confusing and convoluted, but in practice, what this means is that Gunn is retaining the right to keep anything he felt worked in the old DCEU and throwing out the rest. So we have a new Superman, a new Batman, presumably at some point, and a host of new films and TV series currently in development. Starting off this new series with a Superman film is not a bad idea. He's one of the most iconic superheroes in American comics, and the Man of Steel has a long pedigree of film adaptations, dating all the way back to Richard Donner's 1978 film starring Christopher Reeve. The results are mixed as to whether this film is a strong entry point for a new cinematic universe or even a standalone film, but one thing is for sure. This is a James Gunn movie through and through. Gunn has had a tremendous amount of success creating these silly action films that feature a ragtag group of heroes. His Suicide Squad film is probably the highest regarded film in the now defunct DCEU, and his Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is one of the strongest in the series in MCU's overstuffed film slate. But the problem, or at least the problem for me, is that Superman isn't a ragtag hero. He's the ultimate hero, a symbol of hope and justice. He's borderline infallible. But the Superman presented here is not one that rises above all the heroes around, but one that seemingly fits into Gunn's ideology. In theory, this sounds really interesting, and no doubt some will enjoy the fresh take on the Man of Steel. It's certainly more fun than Snyder's solemn, stoic Superman, but this portrayal is one that often feels at odds with the very nature of Superman himself. This movie, Superman 2025, begins in media res, not just the film itself, but the entire story of Superman. We don't see Krypton being destroyed or Kal-El landing in Smallville, Kansas. Gunn is clearly not interested in rehashing old plot points that everyone has seen in countless other media properties. Instead, we begin this film 3 years into Superman's career as a hero, and 3 minutes after he's lost his first battle. A battle between the Hammer of Baravia. The Hammer presents himself as a metahuman defending the country of Baravia against Superman after Superman's interference with a war that country has waged against their neighboring country, Jaunpur. In a twist that's not really a twist, Lex Luthor ends up being behind not just the Hammer of Baravia, but the entire war that country is trying to wage. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is, as always, a billionaire genius with dreams of world domination that keep getting thwarted by Superman. There are a lot of proper nouns and fake countries introduced in the first act, but truthfully, it's not too important to remember all of these names because it's clear this film and all of its plot points are not so subtle digs at the world's current state of affairs. Superman, this particular iteration, has been the subject of some controversy for its apparent wokeness. And this is a woke Superman movie. There's no denying it. There are clear allegories to current foreign wars being waged in Ukraine and Gaza. Superman's immigrant status is brought up, and it 100% touches on the idea of evil billionaires. It's not a small theme that's hiding under the surface. It's positioned directly front and center of this film like a speeding bullet or a locomotive. If that's going to annoy you, if you prefer politics to be left out of your superhero movies, then you will probably have a bad time with this flick. My problem with this movie are not the political angles. I'm fine with them. Superman has always been a political figure, despite what anyone on the right would like to say, Dean Cain not excluded. My problems here are more closely tied to the second act of this film and all the otherworld space nonsense James Gunn fills his films with. I won't do full spoilers, but there's a middle section of this film that truly drags and takes Superman to a riff in the world or another dimension or a blank space in time. I don't really know. I don't really remember. It's all kind of white noise and it's visually uninteresting, especially compared to the gorgeous world of Metropolis Gunn and his team have realized here. This sojourn into fake space world is made all the worse when we come back to the real world of Metropolis and remember just how gorgeous and engaging that world is. The performances, though, of Superman, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, and Jimmy Olsen are all good here, but some of the most compelling characters in this film are the side characters that are introduced. This film introduces a working titled group of heroes who have named themselves the Justice Guys, kind of. They're led by Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern. Lantern is great in this flick. He's really funny. And Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific, a character I knew nothing about, steals every scene that he's in. It is a testament to how great Gunn is at making us root for a band of underdogs. But it also highlights the problem with this being a Superman movie. The Superman in this film is not presented as the strongest hero in the world. At least he didn't come off that way to me. He's not even the leader of the Justice Group. He's kind of just a superhero who gets his ass beat at the beginning of the film and then feels underpowered compared to the mythos we know around this character. I found this Superman, the one leading this film and presumably a strong figure for the next 10 years of DC movies, interesting but not compelling. It's a problem for this movie, but it may not be a problem for the rest of the DCU slate of films. If you are excited for the DCU, a new cinematic universe surrounded by these DC characters, then you will probably enjoy this movie. It introduces a lot of characters, there's a fun teaser for what's to come, and Gunn has created a world that feels bright and funny. Watching this film feels like watching a Saturday morning cartoon more than a gritty cinematic superhero story. That's refreshing, but I am more excited about the rest of the films that will seemingly comprise this DCU. Gunn has been given what appears to be carte blanche for this next series of films, and he's taking it in directions that, truthfully, no one really saw coming. The next film scheduled for release is Supergirl in 2026, but after that we have a Clayface movie currently on slate for next September. This is positioned as a horror movie. It's written by Mike Flanagan and directed by James Watkins. After that, there's a Bat Family film, a Swamp Thing flick, and even a Sergeant Rock movie that has Luca Guadagnino attached, though some of the behind-the-scenes drama may keep that one from actually seeing the light of day. All these upcoming flicks, horror movies based on villains, and Bat Family films helmed by the guy who did It, feels really cool for movies that too often feature infallible heroes who ultimately only exist to save the day in the last 10 minutes. The idea of Gunn's DC universe may not work totally for me with this one Superman movie, but I am immensely excited for the rest of these weird, presumably smaller budget movies that will all connect in some interesting ways. James Gunn's Superman is not my favorite Superman movie. I don't think it's a great jumping off point for a cinematic universe, and the second act of this film was a total slog and a bummer. It looks like I'm in the minority with that opinion, though. Critics have been enjoying this film, and audiences seem to be flocking to the theaters. Superman could be this summer's Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it'll make over $1 billion, and I hope it is. I like when movies succeed even when they aren't exactly to my tastes. I just hope this momentum continues through the DCU while we get these more interesting and personal stories told with iconic characters or characters like Clayface that we really don't know that much. I think it's a really cool idea that we'll be seeing for the next 10, 15 years of DC movies. And it should be something that invigorates the comic book movie formula rather than just getting more flicks that are saying, here's Captain America beating up someone. That's all the movie you get. Thanks everyone for hanging out at the Weekly Movie Minute. Again, I am Joe from Create Context. If you like this, please give us a subscribe. That'd be super cool. And I'll see you guys next time.